Coming off one of the biggest wins of the year and what I think will end up being the knockout of 2021. Welcome today, Cory Sandhagen. Cory, welcome back. Thank you so much for today, and congratulations on an amazing win.
Yeah, man. Thanks a lot. Yep. Really happy about it, obviously.
You watched a lot of the highlight of the spinning wheel kick against Marlon Moraes. How many times at this point have you either watched or been forced to watch the knockout over Frankie Edgar?
Well, this one's a little quicker, so I watched it a little. I watched it a little bit more. But yeah, I don't know, a bunch of times.
I know you can't, listen, you can't write an ending to a fight. Obviously you go out there with the intention of ending a fight in dominant fashion, getting a knockout, things like that. But you told me after the Marlon fight that that was a kick you actually learned during quarantine. You kind of been practicing it, you unleashed it. Where did the knee come from? Was that something you saw in training? Was that something you saw in a tendency with Frankie? Like, where did it come from?
I mean, I think it's just it's just a part of my game, I guess. It definitely wasn't one of those things where I was like, oh, this is definitely going to be the thing that hurts him, like it was just something that I do, like I know that I'm taller, like I don't need to really reach as much with the knee, in order to hit someone in the face with it. So, that's just part of my game, man. Like I fight a lot of guys that are shorter than me, and they have to be in that range where I can hit them with my lower half also. So yeah, it was just part of my game, man. It's one of those things that it scores quite often in training, or at least it could if I were to throw it hard. But nah, man. I mean, the body just kind of did it on its own. That's kind of how I like to fight. Is I just let this thing do what it does.
Yeah, you said in the post fight, obviously, you kind of, you kind of lured him in, you kind of corralled him into where you set him up for the knee where he was moving forward. Can you kind of walk me through that finish, like what you were seeing, and then obviously unleashing that? Because I mean, man, it was just like it was literally like a bomb exploding. It just like boom, it came out of nowhere.
Yeah. Well, so he threw a few, like some combination before, like a bunch of hooks, when I was against the cage, and I was just kind of gonna watch in the beginning of the fight, just kind of be like, I don't know how eager he's gonna be to try to shoot in on me. I don't know how. I didn't really know his approach, so I wanted to take a second. So when he did throw that combination, I maybe I allowed him to be in a range where he could throw that combination, like I said, just because I wanted to see if he was how eager he was to shoot, and he didn't shoot, and I kind of saw a little bit more of a pep in his step, like a little bit more something after he kind of was able to throw those punches, and I think it gave him some confidence, like, oh, I can get close to Sandhagen. He's not as hard to hit as maybe I thought he was going to be, and then. And when I saw that, I was like, he's gonna step in, and then I just launched something up the middle, and like you said, it landed like a bomb.
A lot of times when we've seen those kind of like dramatic, like flying knees, I think of like Edson Barbosa against Benil Dariush, or certain fights like that where you see that knee land. And a lot of times when it lands, a guy, obviously they continue going because they're not 100% sure the fight's over, even when a guy falls pretty dramatically. You connected and literally like it connected, you saw it, you like just kind of walked away. You kind of knew it was over. Did you know from the impact, or did you actually see him fall? Because again, it's kind of like the old Mark Hunt thing where he used to hit a guy and he just walk away like he knew it was over. Like, did you know it was over at that point as soon as you connected?
Not as soon as I connected, but it was almost like he fell in slow motion in my head. Like I kind of looked at him for a second, and I was like, "Oh no, he's stiff." Like this guy is out. Um, I know it seemed a lot slower in my head when I watch it like on tape. I was like, oh, I did just kind of walk away from that like some type of badass, but it happened a lot slower in my head. Like when he was falling, I was like, oh, this guy is definitely out. I don't need to hit him anymore.
Yeah. Now, obviously, you have every right to celebrate in that moment, and you should celebrate that moment. But I know it is kind of a scary instance when you look back and you see Frankie down. Now, he got up. He seems okay. I'm sure you saw his statement. He got out there and everything, so he's fine. But is it scary in that moment when you knock a guy out that dramatically, and he's kind of down like that? Because again, you don't see guys get knocked out and they kind of wake up right away. You don't see those kind of stiff knockouts that often. And the way he fell, man, he was out.
Yeah. It concerned me, like after I kind of, finished my little, minute or two of adrenaline still kicking a little bit. It kind of hit me a little bit that I probably hurt him pretty bad, which isn't a great feeling, but yeah, it does make you feel bad, for Frankie, but more so because, I mean, Frankie's tough. We're all fighters, like, we all know what we're getting into, but I don't think that our families and our friends that really care about us necessarily know that. So I was concerned for, his family watching, and the people that care about him a lot watching, just because I know what it's like to have a good friend get knocked out like that, and you kind of just have to, say your prayers and, cross your fingers that they're okay while they're still down. And I just know how concerning of a feeling that is. So yeah, I think we're all fighters. Frankie's tough. Like I was, like I wasn't worried about Frankie not being okay, but it concerned me that like his family and his kids and stuff had to watch that. I don't really like that feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the good thing is he was okay. He got up. Again, I'm sure you saw his statement. He seems like he's fine. Obviously, it hurts. The sting of a loss is never fun, but obviously seems like he's okay. And that's all that matters, like I said. And obviously, you have every right to enjoy your handiwork because, again, that I truly believe it's going to be really, really hard to beat that for knockout of the year for 2021. And we're barely 2 months into the year.
Yeah. That's cool that you think that, man. Like, I don't really pay too close of attention to, the social media stuff, or I try not to as much as I can. So I don't really know, what people consider to be like a really, KO of the year, what even that is defined as. But yeah, that's cool. That's cool that you think that. I hope that I get that, and I hope that it comes with some money or something too.
Absolutely. So now, with that being said, Cory, I said earlier, in a perfect world, the win over Frankie, you want to get that kind of impactful win that can, completely solidifies your spot as the number one contender. I think you obviously did that, but could you have imagined, with the title fight, now just a couple weeks away, and obviously everything going on in the division, could you have written a better ending in terms of, putting yourself in the position where you want to be?
I think I did it, man. I think that maybe had it been a decision or not something, like a little bit of a dragged out fight or whatever, like maybe I would still be a little bit on the fence of like, hey, are they going to do this? Are they not going to do that? And to be honest with you, I still am a little bit on the fence because I know that not always does the UFC operate in a way that is, that's more about performances. Sometimes it's about making sales, and I understand that too. So I'm a little bit concerned in that aspect, but I think if we're talking performance, I did everything that I could in order to, make my argument really solid and to put myself in a position where it's like, hey, Sterling, Yan, like you guys don't really, have a choice but to, give me a shot after I went and did, two really nasty knockouts over the two top 5 guys in one of the toughest divisions. Like I don't really think that there should be a question that I'm the next one fighting for the belt.
Yeah, you talked about it on Saturday night, and obviously, it's going to come up a lot in the post fight, which is TJ Dillashaw being kind of like the X factor here of him coming back. Now, you wanted TJ; that was the fight you originally called for. We talked about that after the Marias fight, and it seemed like the perfect fight to make. The timing would have worked out with him coming back from his suspension, but obviously it didn't happen. You ended up getting Frankie Edgar instead. But listen, I agree with you. I have nothing against TJ. Obviously, he was a tremendous fighter, but unfortunately, when you go through something like what he's gone through, you cheat, you get suspended. I just have a hard time, justifying a title shot right after that. I don't care what the circumstances were. Let him fight once and then get a title shot. I know you agree with me, but is there any concern to that, or did you feel like what you just did? If there was any like, oh, maybe it's going to be TJ, you kind of usurped him with that knockout.
Yeah, man. Yeah, of course there's concern because, like I said, man, like the UFC, it's a business, man, and they operate like a business, and And TJ's a much bigger name than I am. He'll probably get more sales for stuff maybe than I will. And, you know, that's concerning for me. That being said, man, like, I don't want them to just feed TJ some, like, really, you know, lackluster fight just so that they can say that he's coming off of a win and this and that. So, I mean, if it comes down to it, man, like, you know, I think that I should be the next one fighting for the title. But if we need to eliminate another option, which is TJ, then like I'll fight TJ and then fight for the title too. I don't, you know, like I would rather you know, like I think that they're just gonna, I could see a scenario where they try to give him someone a little bit easier of a fight. He do really well, and then, you know, they play up that fight and then have him fight for the title after that. And that to me would just be like a lame way of doing things. Like if that's going to be the scenario, then, you know, let me and him fight and then let me fight for a title. If it's not the title shot, then it should be me and TJ next.
Yeah, well, that's perfect. That's a perfect segue to my next question, which is that, so you are willing, if it comes down to it, obviously, I believe you deserve a title shot. I think what you did to Frankie, like I said, you know, nobody has ever really done that to Frankie. The guy's a legend. I mean, the guy's a, you know, freaking a Hall of Famer for sure. To do that to him, I think you pretty much, I think you've earned it. I definitely think you deserve the title shot. But worst case scenario, the title shot doesn't come. You're willing to fight TJ just to solidify that spot. You'd rather fight him than have him fight someone else and then get the title shot over you.
Yes, absolutely, man. Like, if, you know, if this thing is just about war, you know, so if it means I have to fight in order for them not to, you know, get an easy win over someone or whatever, yeah, absolutely, I would do that. I would, you know, I would love to, you know, take out as many people as I need to before I even fight for the title. If I got to do that, then I'll do that too. If I have to scratch off every name off the top of the list until, you know, they're forced to give me a title shot, then I'll do that too, you know. But I don't think that the UFC will do that. I think that I earned it. But yeah, if I fight TJ, absolutely will do that. I think it'll probably come with a new contract too, which would be nice. And yeah, more than willing to do that. But like you said, and like I'm saying, he shouldn't even really be in the conversation. I think I'm definitely next.
Yeah, absolutely. I know I'm not going to sit here and ask you to break down Aljamain and Peter because you're not a prediction guy. I know you well enough to know you're not a prediction guy. But, you know, considering what I mean, you had, obviously, as a guy in the division, you had interest in that fight regardless. But now that you know you are the number one guy, how closely will you be watching that fight, kind of scouting your potential next opponent? Because it is a great matchup, and I am looking forward to it. And obviously, it does affect you.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm really looking forward to the fight. I think it's a really interesting fight. I don't really know who to pick in the fight. But yeah, as far as that matchup goes, man, like I like both of them. You know, I think that I'm not much of a talker. I'm more of a hey, let me show you type of guy. And I think since the loss to Aljamain, I think that I've shown everyone that you know that was a flat night. And I think I've come back. I've fixed some things that were going on in my game, and I'm ready to get that one back. You know, like I really, really want to get that one back on Sterling. And then as far as Yan goes too, man, like I think I match up really well against Yan too. I don't think he's going to be quick enough to hit me, and I think that he needs to stand at a range that is not going to happen a lot against me in order for him to beat me, and I just don't think that he's going to be able to do that. So and it kind of is just frustrating that Yan was kind of a little bit served the belt on a silver platter, you know what I mean? Like I don't really like the guy is calling all the shots and talking you know, like a big guy, when it's like, man, like you beat Faber to get a title shot and you beat Aldo to win the belt, you know. Like my last or 2 wins ago now was against a guy that beat Aldo and I knocked him out, you know. So like that rubs me the wrong way too, is that Yan gets to call all of these shots when really he hasn't had a rough go at it. So yeah, man, I like both of those fights. I think, you know, I think I knocked both of those guys out, especially with the way that I've been performing and the way that I've been walking into those fights is just different than before. I go in And I try to, you know, as mean as it might sound, and this is fighter Cory talking, not human Cory talking, but I try to make those people leave on a stretcher, and that's what I'm going in there to do, and I think that's going to be no different when I fight one of those guys for the title either.
Yeah, and I know coming out of the Aljamain fight, I mean, I'm sure you've seen, I know you're not a big social media guy, but I know I'm sure you've seen Aljamain has spoken so well of you since the fight. I spoke to Aljamain a few days ago, and, you know, he had nothing but the utmost respect for you. You know, almost in a way, he's kind of become a fan of yours, you know, watching you go out and beat Marlon, and obviously, you know, going out and do what you did against Frankie. But is there any part of you, like a little bit, that maybe roots for Aljamain, just because that would be like the scenario where you get a title shot and avenge a loss, or does it matter?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a little tricky with me and Aljamain because here's the thing about Aljamain is the guy is really he does speak really kindly of me, and he does, you know, he does give me a lot of credit, and he does give me a lot of props. You know, like the skeptic in me kind of wonders, like, hey man, are you doing that so that you sound a little bit better? You know, so that you could say that, like, oh, I'm this really good fighter, and look how good Cory's doing, but also like, hey, wink, wink, like I'm the guy that, you know, finished him in 90 seconds. You know, I don't know if that's what he's doing, or if he's actually genuinely, you know, caring about how I'm doing and stuff. But so that's a little bit tricky. I don't really know if which is the case, but you know, I like Aljamain. He has a nice personality. We'd probably be friends, but you know, not until we're both done fighting.
Yeah, but would that mean anything more if he ends up winning that fight, or again, does it matter? Is it just about the title? It's not about revenge. It's more about just getting that championship.
It'd be a little bit of both against Aljamain. It'd be about title, and it'd be about revenge. Also, man, you know, I was thinking, I don't think that we have too many more exciting trilogies, you know, like ones for the ages, you know, like those UFC trilogies for the ages. I think that right now is a really good time for the bantamweight division to have one. And I think it'd be really cool, you know, like Sterling beats Yan, we go in, fight again, I beat Sterling, and then we have a trilogy fight. I think that would do good for both of us. It would be one of those legendary trilogies. That would be, you know, one of those just old school cool UFC trilogies that people like to watch, and I think that would be super exciting if that could be the case for me and him, with me of course coming out being 2-3.
I like it. I like it. Well, Cory, congratulations again on the win, man. Again, amazing performance, amazing knockout. Enjoy it. I know you're not that kind of guy, but I think you should enjoy it. It was an amazing win over a legend, Frankie Edgar. So congratulations on that. Enjoy watching the title fight. Hopefully next time we're speaking is once you are officially the #1 contender and you're facing the winner of Petr Yan and Aljamain Sterling.
I hope so too, man. I think it's going to happen. But yeah, man, good to talk to you.
Absolutely. We'll talk soon, okay?